Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reasonably Effective podcast. I'm 10 Types, joined by Uncommon Fossil.
Hello. I hope you're all doing well. I'll just say we're going to talk about Surging Spark that's coming out a little less than a month from now, November 7th. And so we know what all the cards are in the set, so it's a great time to do it. And as I was realizing before this, Pocket comes out the week before, so we'll see how much where our attention is when it actually drops. But there's some certainly meaningful cards in the set.
Yeah, I think the set is pretty good, and we are not taking a look at all the cards. We are taking a look at just the Pokemon EXs, generally the two things that define a set. There are, I guess, three, but there's the trainers. Though the trainers, I've taken a look, they're okay, but they're not like super game breaking, unlike something like Stellar Crown, where the trainers were a really big deal. And then there's the Pokemon EX, which we are taking a look at, which are the big attackers, sometimes like good abilities, but usually you're looking at big attackers. And then you
Right.
also, of course, have the other Pokemon which sometimes are used like good and stuff. There are certainly are some that are like solid. I'm just taking a quick flip through the set. And I don't actually really see any that are particularly good. There are some that are okay, certainly, but the EXs are generally where things get pretty interesting. Okay, there are some good single prizes I'm looking through, but the EXs are generally all interesting, or mostly interesting. So we've each made
Yeah.
ranked all of them. We have 18 each, and
Yes.
yeah,
There's 18 EXs, and I believe 9 of them are stellar Pokemon,
yep.
if my count is correct.
And so the Stellars, like so far, have been we got four so far, and they're okay. But the Stellar attacks have been like not really meaningful in standard, right?
Correct. Yeah. So that'll be interesting with the stellar attacks. And to me, the stellar Pokemon are kind of split in two groups. There's some of them that have an attack cost for 1 energy in it, but there's some that only attack for the three different energy types, which I think makes it very different. The ones that need 3 energies for any attack makes it much more difficult in my mind.
Um, Wait,
So,
what? But there's some that
there's
attack for two energies.
well, but there's some that attack for 2 different types of energies.
Yeah, well, there's like
I'm
the
talking about.
dragon. Yeah.
Well, with the dragon's the dragon. So the dragon always is 2. So when a dragon attacks for 2 energies, that's the same thing as any other Pokemon attacking for 1, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So there's these some of these, right? So but there's some that only have a quote stellar attack. I would say
Um, yeah, I guess.
there's like the
Let's just. I'm
lightning
gonna
one.
open up your list and take a look at it. We each have our
Okay.
list. We're gonna look at these, and you can explain it a bit more. I kind of understand like what you mean, but I'm gonna open this up. Oh wow, you really did what you said you were going to do, which is take a picture of the physical cards. Oh yeah, I'll just these are the
You
same
don't
you
sound
sent.
happy about that.
Oh, this is wait, what's huh?
What do you have a
What's the
question?
order? Yeah, I opened yours up. Did you open mine up?
Yeah, what's your order? I did it in the top left is the top card.
And then it goes
It should
right.
and then left to right and then top to bottom, right? As it goes down.
Yeah, so
So
you're
the top,
so Black Hero MX would be your second worst card, right? And
correct.
Cereal GX is your second best. Okay, well, we agree on some. We do not agree on most. Also, mine are stretched funny because I was like, oh, that would be nice. But there's also a black border around the whole thing, so whatever. We don't need to worry about that. So, why
Yeah.
what am I looking at
You,
here? This is like,
oh, what's your question?
like what is this?
The Pokemon I picked?
Yeah,
Is
what
that
is
your
this?
question?
Yeah.
How could so we'll start. So we wanted to start off. I told you last time with the V stars, we had a lot of agreement. This time we have a lot of disagreement here, right? And I told you
Yeah.
weren't going to be happy with me with what I
Yeah.
did.
This is
And I can't believe I don't even know. So I got even got to look at the Pokemon that you said won. Where did I put? It was like wow, like you have Latios number 1, right?
Yeah, I think
Is that
Latias EX
correct?
is
And I
clearly the
have
best
it
EX in the
third
set.
from the worst card.
Yeah, I
So
know. So,
okay,
I also have tiers. So I'll say I'll explain my tiers real quick. Did you open up the one with the tiers?
I do. Yes, I have
So,
both things
Latias
open here.
EX is S tier. I put like the color of the tier over the card, but it looks kind of weird. So
Okay.
Latias
Yes.
EX is S tier. The rest of the top row would be A tier. I think
Mhm.
Latias EX is going to be a card that is very impactful in a lot of decks. It is somewhat like a trainer because it's mostly useful for its ability, but it is, in my opinion, a very good card. We will talk about that. Then the next five, I think, are very like solid cards that could definitely see like a good chunk of play. Then the next 3 are B tier. The next 4 are C tier. So Sylveon EX is C tier here. And then the next 3 are D tier, and the last 2 are F tier, which are the ones that were gym promos or something. They're kind of bad. Yours are near the bottom, and I don't think we really need
Yes.
to talk about them, right?
No, and the funny thing is, there aren't actually English proxies of them
Yeah,
at
based
this
on the
point.
websites
Partly,
we use, at least.
yeah, and I searched, just doing a little Google searching, I couldn't find it. I mean, so they're not readily available. Partly because they didn't come out with the regular sets, and they're not very good as well. I
Yeah.
assume.
Oh, I'll talk about I want to really talk about what the set is. Obviously, it's a set, but then in Japan, where it was released first, there's some differences. So you have the cards from Supercharged Breaker, which is like I
Mhm.
guess the main set that's making up this set. But then you also have Paradise Dragana, which is another set that's making up the set. And then you have the 2 gem promos, the Flamingo EX and the Kilowatt EX, which I think we're done talking about. And then we have the um, was it the Ceruledge EX and the Sylveon EX were released separately as well. These are definitely more legit cards than the Flamingo EX and the Kilowatt EX. I have no idea when they first came out. They do both have H regulation marks though, so it's not like Pokemon just forgot about them like Garganacl EX, which they forgot about for like a year. But anyways,
Yeah. All right. So we have some huge differences here, right? My top card, yours is down. It's in your what?
which the Hydreigon EX.
The Hydreigon EX, and
Yeah,
you have
from
it the C
yeah, I
tier,
definitely
right?
think it's a very mediocre card. I think B tier and C tier to me kind of blend together a little bit. You could even say no. I think the D tier cards are
But
definitely
it's in the bottom half for you, and then you have Latios EX as number one. I have it as my third to the
yeah
bottom card,
Latias EX. I don't know if you
Latias. So
um
maybe that's my problem. I've been mispronouncing it, so
exactly
I
you've been
didn't
thinking it's the
appreciate
Latios
the
this whole time.
quality.
But
So what do you want to what? So why don't you tell me why Latias is so good?
so
Because
Latias
I'm missing
EX.
it.
So that's not there. Latias EX here has its lovely little ability called something. I don't know what it's called, but it lets all your basic Pokemon
Well, it
have
says Skyline here.
Skyline. Okay. Oh yeah, it says it on mine. So your basic Pokemon have no retreat cost, and so Pekron EX is a pretty good card, right?
Yes,
Um,
it's yeah. I mean, it's not a game breaker, but okay.
no, but it's nice in darkness, right? It is specifically within like Roaring Moon EX. It's nice. It does hurt your Pokemon.
Yeah,
It's not good.
I mean, look, I've played more Roaring Moon than you. I played it a little when it first came out. I haven't played Roaring Moon lately. I'm not sure that it's unless you want. That's the one that poison switches, right?
Yeah,
And obviously the poison potentially gives value as well, though, with
yeah.
those
But
decks
it can
too.
also
So
hurt. Like it can be really bad on Roaring Moon EX to poison yourself.
yeah, look, it helped. It helped with the silly water Pokemon, right?
Yeah, Palafin
Uh,
EX, and it doesn't
Palafin
necessarily do that
EX.
with Latias EX here.
Yeah.
However,
So
what it does do is a lot of decks just need like switching is a
so
good thing, right?
yeah,
Uh,
look, I don't. So Skyline, your basic Pokemon have no retreat cost. It has an attack too, right? So it does 200 for 3, can't attack next turn. So the attack's not very good, correct?
no,
You
it's
would
not
say.
like completely useless. There are like if you're playing this in Gardevoir EX, which wouldn't really make sense to play it in. You'd attack with it. Maybe something like
You,
Lost Zone as well. Lost Zone, I guess some rotation is something that we will like kind of talk about, but it's not like super meaningful for my
right.
rankings at least. But um, yeah, Latias EX is giving free retreat to all your Pokemon. This is saving resources. A lot of
Your
times,
basic Pokemon only.
your basic
Only
Pokemon, yes,
basics.
only
So
basics.
and don't forget, we have a stadium that reduces it by 1, which gives free retreat for a lot of your Pokemon
Well, it
basics
does, but
already.
that's also not searchable. So I think like Miraidon EX would always play this card, right? Do you think would you play it in Miraidon EX?
I don't.
The answer is yes.
I don't know. So far, you haven't sold. Look, here's the thing. Well, first off, we do have the supporter that searches for energy in a stadium. So it is searchable, and there is secret box. So it's not as easily
Yeah, it's
searchable. The
noticeably
stadium.
less searchable, but it is somewhat searchable.
Obviously, a Pokemon and a basic Pokemon, you can get it into play multiple ways.
Yeah.
The thing is, with Miraidon though, Miraidon likes lightning Pokemon. This is not a lightning Pokemon, so now I have to nest ball for this, and I have to nest ball from a Rhydon.
Well, but
Um,
that's true with Squawkabilly EX as well. And Squawkabilly EX is like just it's good. It's really good.
But Squawkabilly lets me do my big attack on my first turn going second,
Well,
which is
this
the
could
point of
also help
this.
you do that because you need a
It
lot of
could,
the energy acceleration is to your bench. And so you actually do need switching. There are lots of times we just need switching, or there are some times we just need switching. But then
yeah.
it allows you to attack. Like essentially, it kind of saves an energy attachment in a good few situations, which will allow you to attack easier turn one going second. I don't think it's a like super game
So,
breaking card, but I think it's
mhm.
like I think it's a card that you'd put in almost every basic, like big basic deck, at least two prize big basic deck in
Maybe.
the game, and not necessarily like Roaring Moon, well, not necessarily Ancient Box, but like any like Roaring Moon EX, Raging Bolt EX,
Well,
things
the
like Trap
question,
Ghost EX,
part of it,
maybe not. That's different, but
if you have things with retreat costs of two or more, it starts to have more value, right? If it's retreat cost of one, you can always attach. You also have switch cart for basic decks, right? So the decks that need switching that are big basic decks, you play like four switch carts, and then do you have room for the Latias is a
well, but
question.
for Switch, the Latias EX could replace all four Switch cards.
It could look in terms of deck space. You're right. This is takes up less deck space, but bench space. If you're not playing Terra Pokemon with Area Zero, what under depths or whatever it's called,
Yeah.
you now, especially like Miraidon, I have a Miraidon, I have a Squawk ability to set up, and I have a Latias in play. That's I don't I'd have to think through, can I afford that much bench space for these things? And now I can't play. I don't know if I can play like a Pheasant Dipping in a deck that's doing this. I don't know if I can play like a Mew EX in a deck also. So I'm not sure like Miraidon it goes in it or not. I
I
like
mean, Rhydon
Retreat.
does play Area Zero under depths as well.
It does. It does. So once you do that, that's okay. And then if that stadium gets bumped, potentially you can chuck the Latias. Um, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't think the ability was all that big a deal. I think, look, back when we started playing, um, the air balloon was a tool that reduced retreat cost by two, and it was a very good tool, a tool that I miss a lot because we can reduce by one, but there's a big difference between one and two in a lot of cases. So retreating is a big deal. Um, I don't know that retreating's that big a deal for most of the decks that I'm playing. So, and I'm
Like
trying to
what
think.
decks?
Well, I've been playing a lot of bad decks lately, so that's not the issue here.
Okay.
Like I said, big basic decks. Like does Roaring Moon play this? That's
I
the
feel
type
like
of
it
deck
like
that would
adds
want it,
value. You do
right?
have Pecorant EX, which also does. They're like different, kind of similar. They're kind of weird. It does not a switch, so it does not get you out of like
Or
Snorlax and
or
things like that.
Raging Bolt. I mean, right? I was
Oh,
thinking
Raging Bolt.
like Raging Bolt because Roaring Moon, I have the option, right, of that. You also with all these big basic decks, a lot of times they play Mew EX for the free retreat. Would you rather have this or would you rather have Mew EX, which once it's in play, it becomes your pivot and it potentially gives you some draw, right? It
It
has
does
a
become
second
your pivot, but
value.
there's a few issues. One, it has lower HP, but then
Yes.
it's like it is the pivot, but not all your opponent can just gust something else up, and then that's not. I don't know. It does depend on the situation. There are definitely times when UEX is a card that like will be just a perfectly fine pivot and do what you need it to do, but a lot of SCX means that you have like all your cards are pivots, which is really nice to have.
Yeah, assuming you're a basic deck, right? Not
Yeah, yeah.
evolution deck, of course. Um, I find it hard to put above B tier. I gotta say, and obviously I put it
Well,
lower than that. So
yeah, no,
so 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 maybe I put it in like D tier, which I think is what it's going to be. I don't. Maybe I'm wrong. Right?
okay, I
Is
have
it going
looked
to?
at results in Japan as well. And this card has seen some play, certainly. What is it, Latias EX? It's seen a decent chunk of play in exactly the types of the decks, like the big basic decks, including multiple people playing Okie Dokie. No, just one person, I think. Anyways, um,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, it's seen play in Raging Bull, some Gouging Fire, a little bit of Trapagos, not that much Trapagos, but like Miraidon, Roaring Moon, um, yeah, pretty much the big basic decks, the big basic EX decks, and you could play.
Okay.
It's like even in a like a Regidrago deck, and you could put in a few other things where you have basic support Pokemon, um, and like there are different things you could put in, but it's like it's a good card within these. Um, these decks, it adds like Iron Hands EX, for example, that's stuck, right? That will get stuck in the active. Bloodmoor Saloon EX, you don't want to start it, but there are times when you have to start it. That will get stuck in the active, and that's bad. Like that's not good. Your U-turn boards and this and rescue, what's it? No, rescue boards and beach courts aren't getting you out of there. And also, you do want to be able to play Area Zero under depth. So I think it's really nice within Miraidon specifically, but I think it's good in other decks as well.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not sold. That's what I'm going to say. I think there's other solutions to switching. I think now you're right. This takes one Pokemon solves your switching problems in these decks, and that will free up deck space. I do think it saves deck space, which is a big
and
issue.
And adds consistency.
Yeah. Well,
ignoring the bench space thing.
If they're single, like in a big basic deck, though, as long as you can get with Arven, you can get, and especially a lot of these decks are single retreat cost cards, so you can get the tool and or you can get switch card, right? So you can get the switching, but you're paying a price to do it, right?
Yeah.
The question is, can they afford the bench space, which is not always. I know we have Area Zero under depth, but you don't always get it in play and stuff. And too many support Pokemon that are providing niche things do get to be a problem. So I'm not.
I feel like
I'm concerned about that.
Niche, but I think it's better than Mew-EX. They're not like the same, but to me this would hit the board over Mew-EX, and Mew-EX obviously does see play. But regardless, I think it's better than Kilowatt. Yeah.
All right, so you're. So you see this as like Pheasantipity EX or something like that, a Pokemon that just gets slotted into a whole lot of decks.
Yeah, I think it's definitely weaker than that. Maybe it's A tier. I do believe it is the best card in the set. I think it's by far the most versatile. There aren't really any others that are particularly versatile at all. And there's one that's like kind of versatile that maybe we'll talk about, but probably not too much.
Okay. Well, why don't I make the pitch for my number one then? Because we also are very different on that as well. Should we go right there next?
Yeah. Let's go to Hydreigon EX.
And I knew you would. I told you wouldn't like this. So Hydreigon EX, the Pokemon that I don't think is getting any love here, but it is crazy. So it has. I'm trying to call it the proxy here. So sorry.
Yeah, I'll read it out. So
you got it.
It's
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's on my cards. You can like kind of read them, though they're like stretched weirdly. But Hydreigon EX 330 HP Darkness Stellar Pokemon, so it's Terra and it has the weird attack. But its first attack here, I assume we don't need to talk about the previous evolutions, right? There's some like fun stuff going on there, but nothing particularly crazy.
No, well, this is they do some milling, which this one does as well. There is a Hydreigon in standard form right now that I think is relevant as well. So I'll bring that up.
So you have Crashing Heads for Darkness Colorless. It does 200. Discard the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. That's pretty good mill, and that's good damage. It's not like what do you think about that attack?
I think that attack's very, very good.
Very, very good.
It is. Okay. Look, the problem. There's one downside to this, but all these cards have some. It's a stage 2. That's the problem. If this was a basic, it would just be too good.
Yeah. No,
and if it was a stage 1, it would probably be pretty. It would be pretty terrifying. I think. Look, 200 damage is a very nice amount to damage to do. You're not one-shotting most things, but you're two-shotting everything. And milling 3 is a good number because mill decks. And I like mill more than you. There's another mill card in here that we'll talk about some.
EX,
yeah. Well, we both kind of view the other one not so good, but milling. So they're built around milling 4, right? The old Durant decks were mill 4. Wugtrio potentially was more, and then the Great Tusk is mill 4. So milling 3 is just slightly less than that, and you don't need other shenanigans to make it happen.
Well, it's 3/4 of the amount. It's not like it's less, and it is very meaningful that it is less. But
no, I
also
get it.
Also, those aren't consistently milling 4. The other ones, I will say.
Exactly. So if you're attacking every time you attack with this for 3. The other ones that could do 4, you're probably averaging 3 over the course of the game a lot of times.
Yes, there are some big differences. Notably, this is a 2-prizer.
It's a 2-prizer.
It doesn't have much more HP, but
330 HP is a nice number. You're not getting one shot for the most, right? Look, if you're getting one shot with any of these stage 2 330 HP Pokemon, you're probably going to lose anyway, right?
Maybe. I
for
mean, they're
the
like,
most
I
part.
don't know. We'll talk. And the second attack
So
here,
but hang on the first attack. So, and you can power it up very easily, right? We have Dark Patch and Format, and we also have the other High Dragon, and the other High Dragon helps you set up the second attack. I will say. So,
yeah.
go on with the other attack.
How do we spell Hydreigon?
HYDREIHY.
Oh, HY. Okay,
DRE.
the one from Paldea Evolved. And it says once in
Yeah.
your turn you can play it, and you look at the top 3 cards of your deck and attach any number of energy cards you find there to your Pokemon any way you like, then discard the other cards. This is an on-play stage 2 ability that also mills yourself, which like isn't great. I feel like this ability is kind of bad.
No, it's
I'm
not
just,
on play, right? It's
oh,
once
it's once
during your
turn. Never
turn.
mind. Once during your turn.
So
Okay,
it's not on play.
so
You just need one. You need one copy of this High Dragon in your deck, right?
Yeah.
And having a single prize attacker that does 160 for 3 in this deck isn't terrible. You'll use it occasionally.
It's okay. Yeah.
You'll use it occasionally, but it's partly for the one copy of that, and then you need one copy of Cyphermatic's Code Breaking, and then you get 2 energies on top of your deck that you want.
How are you
and
like
then,
setting up multiple stage 2s without your supporter? That seems very hard to do.
I'm just saying over the course of the game, I think you might be able to use the second attack once over the course of the game. It's the deck's going to be a Crashing Heads, do damage, and mill cards, right? You're putting a lot of pressure on. If the question is, can you set up the stage 2 fast enough? I get that, but if you're doing 200 damage and milling 3, your opponent's scared, right? You'd be scared about
crashing, crash and burn than crashing heads. But the second attack is strong, but it is Psychic Darkness Metal Colorless, which is like the hardest attack to pay that we've seen like ever. But maybe not quite that much, but it is that much. It might not be the hardest attack ever, but it is very hard to pay. It does 130 damage to 2 your opponent's bench Pokemon and 130 to their active, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
There might be Energy, and it's like it's good. It's like one-shot bench Pokemon, and we'll be finishing stuff off. It's a strong attack. If you use it multiple times, you probably win the game, maybe. But also it's very hard to pay.
So on the second attack, right? I don't think the deck is going to be built around the second attack because it's hard to get set up. I grant you that. I think obviously there's like Lost Zone as a way to do it. It's tough to pay though. I will say that. That's why I think it's the other High Dragon. I think that's the way to pay it. I think you'd have to do that, and I think but you can. I think mostly you're going to go with Crashing Heads, and then you use Obsidian to close out the game potentially because you're looking to take 3 prizes with that attack, right? And if 3 prizes, if you can have a 3-prize turn in most games, you're going to win a lot of games. So it's a strong attack. You're only doing it once. You're not even doing it in all your games, but 25% of the time you're doing this attack once, and that probably guarantees you those games. And I think the Crashing Heads puts a lot of pressure on, and I can power that up very easily. So the key is I need to set up, not get knocked out too quickly, those are always concerns for stage 2 decks are around and solid. Those are concerns anyways. If I do that, I think it's a lot of pressure.
So in order to judge stage 2s, or really any card, you always want to compare it to cards that are similar. And there's a pretty good Darkness stage 2 in Standard called Charizard EX, and that card's attack cost, its damage output is about the same, right? As Crashing Heads, and its attack cost is essentially free. So like it pays for itself with this ability. It takes up like deck space, and theoretically you could have the energy. Well, if you have the energy in your hand, you can just play it. But if you have all your energy in your hand, you can't use the ability. But essentially, Charizard EX's attack is free, right?
You power it up, right? As long as you're not up against like Iron Thorns, yes. But look, with Dark Patch and Format, I can power this up.
But it's not like easy. It's a little easier than Dragapult EX, and that is a good deck, but that attack is applying more pressure. I think the value of Crashing Heads is like the mill 3. Obviously, the damage is very important. The mill 3, you need to get like lucky with the mill 3, and then you get to like you don't need to get super lucky, but you need to hit multiple of one of your opponent's valuable resources. For example, multiple rare candies, multiple like key support. There are different things you could hit, but you need to hit one thing hard, and that's not something you can control.
Yeah, look, with these other mill decks, which they're single prize decks, which you're pointing out, that's a huge difference, but they're not doing damage. They're milling 4 is what you're striving for. This is obviously slightly less, but not a ton less. Um, but with those decks, you're trying to get something stuck in the active, right? And if your opponent can switch out of the active, you're going to lose a lot of times, most of the time with those decks, right? You got to get something stuck so you can mill a bunch of turns here. You're doing enough pressure that your opponent, besides the concerns of the milling, you're going to be knocking out their Pokemon at a decent clip. So they've got to continue to be setting up, which puts a whole spin on how you counter a mill deck is going to be very different if your opponent's playing Hydreigon.
Yeah, I mean, I think his card's okay. I don't think it's like terrible. I think it's just, I mean, Obsidian's almost, it's very, very hard to pay. And then Crashing Heads isn't like super easy to pay. I mean, it's okay. It's certainly a very payable attack,
Yeah.
but it is a stage 2, and it does give up multiple prizes. Like I think the milling, I think you're almost never gonna deck your opponent out unless they're like just burning resources, like crazy, like really, really aggressively burning resources. But you need to just get like the only value of the mill is generally I think going to be getting like lucky mills, which is it could like win you games, but I think that'll be like maybe 10% of games. Um, and then your damage, like, and then the rest of the time you're just like a worse Charizard EX, which is true for a lot of cards, but that's still like not exactly where you want to be because the Obsidian attack doesn't give you that much more upside. Like it is really good, but it's very, very hard to pay.
Yeah, look, this might be a deck that I don't even try to use Obsidian in it. And I probably might leave out the energies and all that, so it's not payable, right? Because it might just be make things too awkward. But I think Crashing Heads 200, like I said, I think it's very good. I think it's pretty scary myself. So, and I like mill decks more than you, so I certainly have a bias that I
We
think
don't
it's.
like
I
play
think
mill
it's.
decks because they're bad.
That's the problem. They struggle, but honest, like I said, mill decks you're hoping to get 4, and if you miss your 4, like with right now, and you miss your supporter one turn,
With Great
then
Tusk, did you
you
say?
with Great Tusk, yeah, with Great Tusk, then
Did you say Great Tusk and it cut out,
I
or did
didn't.
you?
No,
You didn't.
I
Okay.
didn't. I blanked on it, so I just paused and
Oh,
let you
okay.
mentally fill in the name. So with Great Tusk, you miss occasionally, so you're probably averaging through, like I said, anyway. So
Well, but
it's
this
going to
you're
be the
also not going to be. You're not hitting Crashing Heads every turn, especially turn 1. You're obviously not hitting your turn 1.
no.
I think you're
I
going to be missing. Like if they one shot you, which that definitely happens.
Well, if
Like
you're going to get one shot, you're going to lose. But if your playing Dragapult and your opponent one shots you, you probably lose that game too, right? So it's just
well,
can they?
maybe, but this like isn't going to be doing these big one shot. Like Dragapult EX can one shot you with Dusknoir and Dragapult, and then same thing with Charizard EX, and then of course you got the big basic decks. You have Raging Bolt that can one shot you. Trapghost EX can also one shot you. These are burning Dusknoirs, so they are giving you a prize, but that's not that big of a deal. If they're just essentially winning the game because then they're not you're not gonna be able
Well,
to easily set up 2 Hydreigon EXs back to back. I don't think, right?
no, I think you look if any of these stage 2 decks, EX decks, if you're getting one shot, you're losing. You're losing with Charizard. You're
I
losing
mean,
Dragapult.
Charizard doesn't always lose to Charizard though. Like, that doesn't
But
really
if your
make sense.
opponent's whoever sets up first wins, right?
Uh,
With those games
yeah,
too.
I need to like get stuff. You need to get a little lucky.
So,
It's not like you're
look,
always getting one-shotted, but
all right.
um,
Just to wrap up this conversation up because we need to move on, I think. But you're going to set this up on like turn 2.5 on average, right? Either turn 2 or turn 3. So that's going to be a big deal. Can you make it? When can you make it happen? And then I think to me, I think I can then once it's set up, I can stream Hydreigons one to the next because I think the energy cost is very payable. So and I have at least a turn to kind of get things set up. So I think turn 2, turn 3, I'm set up, and I'm crashing heads every turn after that. And I think that
all 3 turns until all your Hydreigons get knocked out, and then you lose.
well, the problem with the TCG right now, which is the whole Dusknoir, and you
I
go
know you don't
Tropicals,
like Dusknoir.
score. The game only lasts 3 turns, but the turns take 5 minutes, especially if they're playing the Noctowl and Dusknoir. It take because it's very complicated. I will say, right? When
Yeah.
do you Dusknoir when it's right? A lot of people. I don't play it a lot. Half the time, people do it wrong against me. I will say because it's tough to do. So
Yeah.
turns are getting too long. So I also want to speed up the game here, right? So I'm playing. Well, this is not a fast deck.
Yeah, that's
Stage
like
two anyway.
also not a fast deck. But anyways, so we obviously disagree on those. We do agree on
Yeah.
the number 2 card though. which is
Well, let's
Ceruledge
go.
EX. Ceruledge EX has its attack Abyssal Flame. It is a stage one. This might be the best stage one EX we've ever seen, which is not that high of a praise,
I've been
but
playing Gold with Goldingo pretty happily, I will
yeah,
say.
no, Gholdengo is certainly a solid deck, but this for one fire does 30, 20 more for each energy in your discard pile. It does have the stellar
Yes.
attack, but it's presumably something you're never going to use. And because your first attack might be doing more damage, though very well may not, but it's only one energy. You do have 270 HP, and you are Ceruledge EX, so you do have like Armarouges, and you have Ceruledges, and you have some other options which can add value. You could play it. It
Right.
actually plays kind of like Gholdengo, I think. Except instead of needing to, you're like pushing a lot in the early game and you're not like setting up lots of new things. Like you don't need to get all the energies again every turn, but you're slower in the early game because like you can only be doing so much. But then in the late game you're hitting harder. So yeah,
Right.
it's just a good
Yeah.
card.
Yeah. It's 30 plus 20 more for each energy in the discard pile. So it's which is an interesting combo because it's a fire Pokemon, and usually you want a lot of energies to in Magma Basin, but here you want them in the discard pile. So it'll be an interesting dynamic. It evolves from Charcadet. So can have the Armarouge. We also have Armarouge that moves energy, which is good, and you have the Armarouge EX, which maybe which I think is pretty solid too. I'm not sure of how they slot together, but
Yeah, the Armarouge EX and Armarouge really, you can't really play Armarouge EX without the single price Armarouge. And then that's
right,
multiple of your Charcadets are using up not on Ceruledges. But anyways, it's pretty solid, has some versatility. Even in similar
yeah,
ways to Gholdengo, where you can put in different energy types. You can actually play. No, I was gonna say you can play with Energy Search Pro, but no, you play it with the one that discards 5 cards from your deck. Probably. They're good A specs in general, but you could play it with that one,
yeah,
which just adds 100
and
damage for the rest of the game.
right, and with the supporter that you look at two different energy types, you put them in, and then you attach one to a Pokemon. We'll put one in the hand first, attach one. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah,
Starts with
Crispin.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah, starts with the city Crispin. You could power up the second attack potentially if you want. It is a good attack. It does 280. That's very nice to have. I'm not sure you discard the energy, so I'm not really sure you want it. But and it is energy of any type. It's not just fire energies in the discard pile.
or
So
basic energies either.
that is true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, so I think some of the decks are playing Legacy Energy, it was interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyways, I
So
don't think
I
there's
think
too much to say about this.
no. Well, this is the most important part. And if it becomes really good, I believe we're going to have 10 different Charcadets in format when this comes out.
Oh,
So
let's
if this becomes a
go.
top deck, we can have a whole podcast to get dedicated to what the best Charcadet is.
That's true. That's true.
So
Anyways, next up we have Milotic EX. I have it fourth. You have it third.
yeah.
Yeah, our 2 through 5 are the same. And then my 6 is not the same as yours.
Okay.
Yeah, my Black
Yes.
Hero, Black Hero EX. Um,
Oh, did you put it up high? And I was
yeah,
saying beforehand, I think it's garbage, which
I
I
know,
do.
and I
But
was like, what? So anyways, Milotic EX has an attack. It's a very mediocre attack, but its ability here says prevent all damage and effects done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Terra Pokemon's attacks. Terra Pokemon are,
right.
of course, very good right now. You have Charizard EX, Trapinch EX, Dragapult EX. You also have the Ogerpon EXs, and you have I don't know. I guess that's it. But those are very good and some of the best decks in the game or best attackers in the game right now are Pokemon.
Yeah, no, it's very good. The ability's good. It can go into its own deck. It could also be in a counter as a counter, right, into a lot of decks. So it gives
Yeah.
it more versatility than some. We also have. I'm trying to call up the cards here. There's the Milotic in format now. I was thinking, what with Mentally Calm? Did I make?
I think the one that
Um,
stops like scooping up.
yeah. So maybe because if you if you play the Milotic EX, you want to try to get having Pokemon your opponent can't damage you in play could be a good thing. So you might want to play that. And there's also the Feebas right that's with this set I believe has no there's a Feebas with Ascension in it as well right
Okay, and
now.
that's really important. I think I actually want to see the Feebas because they all have 30 HP, which is obviously not great. So that's definitely a downside to these cards. But yeah, no, Milotic EX is definitely pretty solid. Yeah, the few
So
passes.
Ascension for 1 energy, you search your deck for a card that evolves from it. So you can put the Feebas in play, attack with it, and you end your turn with my Milotic EX at 270 HP. So that's good.
Yeah, and with a big like walling ability as well.
Right, the walling ability. And there was a different one too. Oh, one with a Feebas, the flail attack, and we can play it with Relicanth, and I'm always looking for Relicanth.
Oh, this is interesting. Yeah.
So the flail, again, 30 HP, but Relicanth lets you copy attacks of previous evolutions, and flail is 10 damage per damage count as Pokemon. So now we have 270 HP, so the potential for very solid damage there for
Or
1
or
energy.
you could copy Ascension with Milotic EX. Yeah. Or Splash. Or yeah, no, anyways. So
So,
yeah, no, that's actually an interesting combo, and that could be solid. But anyways, then we have our Caludon EX. This is an interesting EX here with 300 HP on a stage 1, so higher than the other ones, which have 270. Well, there's another one with 300. But it on play from hand, you search for or you attach 2 basic metals from your discard pile to your metal Pokemon in any way you like.
right.
And I think the main use will be to power up itself. It might be, and it does for 3 metals, which it mostly pays for itself. Though they do need to be in the discard, so early on it might be a little awkward. But whatever. It does 220, and it has no weakness next turn, so it is very tanky. Radiant Charizards will not be one-shotting this, which is kind of cool. I mean, they could like gust and then like bring you back in or something, but that seems like a lot of work
Right.
and not that big of a deal.
Yeah, so the Arc Duraludon is good. And then, there is the Duraludon with the Raging Hammer attack. Let me call that one up here. Sorry.
Wait, what's
Another
Oh, yeah.
Relicanth opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Does 80 and
Because
then 10 more for each damage counter on it.
which is 80 plus, and it's 300 HP Pokemon Arc Duraludon.
It's
So
Arcaludon, not Arcturaludon.
Arcaraludon,
No,
whatever it is.
Arcaludon. Yeah, I think
Arcaludon.
yeah,
Okay,
I think
it's a weird,
it
sounds
is
weird,
weird.
but
It is weird.
you're probably correct. So 300 HP, and it's not just 10 plus 10, but now it's 80 plus 10. That's potentially pretty good too, and that's 3 energy, the same as the main attack on Arculodon or whatever it is,
Yeah,
which is
that's
I
right.
know is wrong.
Actually,
I
I don't
knew
know if
it.
I'm pronouncing these right. I have no idea. But there's also the Arcaludon, which is all your metal Pokemon, or no, all your Pokemon with metal energy attached have no retreat, which is like kind of cool, and it is probably a nice addition. Although I know you think free retreat is completely terrible, as you've said before. But yeah, then we got Arcaludon, and then there's also Dialga V-Star. You could play 2 Arcaludon EXs and then attach and then power up Dialga V-Star turn 2. I don't really know if that's like actually viable, but it seems okay. Like I don't really like Matang. I feel like I don't like the randomness. I feel like it lets you down. Though I feel like I mean it's like pretty consistent. But anyways, Arcaludon EX could be used to power that up or any other metal Pokemon. Though I don't really know what else you'd be looking at outside of Dialga or itself.
Right. I mean, you can power up Goldengo, but I don't think you really need to. I
Yeah,
don't think
no.
we need to do that.
Well,
So,
the single prize
um,
Goldengo, which is yeah. I assume you have it here to power up itself, or do you also have it because it powers up other stuff?
no, I think it's there for itself. Look, to me, this is if I didn't do tiers of mine, but would be the second a tier two, the second tier. I thought to me, Hydreigon, Celerude, Milotic, Pikachu, which we haven't gotten to. I think those are the top tier from this
Yeah, okay.
set.
Then we do a Pikachu EX, and that has its ability Tenacious Heart. Actually, no, can you talk about this one, or should I read what it says?
I can read it off. So it's got the ability Enduring Heart, which is part of why it's. What's that?
So I said it has the ability Tenacious. So you were looking at a different translation, which is funny that we said the different name.
Yes. So what it does, and I don't know I don't know if we know what it'll be called exactly, but if Pokemon has full HP and be knocked out by damage from an attack, it's not knocked out, but the remaining HP becomes 10. That is very good. Now, with Dusknoir, of course, that changes things a lot in the game. So I'm not sure about that, but look, the HP is only 200, so you'd normally get 1 shot. So now you're getting 2 shot, and that's a big deal. And if your opponent has to use the Dusknoir to quote 1 shot it, that's actually a big plus for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's an okay trade-off. And then the attack is good if we can power it up. Topaz Bolt does 300 damage, which is a very nice number on a basic Pokemon. You discard all the energy, and this is one of the stellars that doesn't have like a single energy type attack. It is grass, lightning, metal. So that's a big
So I have a
downside, I
question.
will
So
say.
so you said there are some like that, but what are the other ones like that? Isn't that
Maybe
the only
just
one?
this one. Maybe just this one. But
There's
this one
also
has gotten a
there's two
lot of
dragons as well.
right. And like I said, yeah, and I might have been kind of thinking about, but the dragons are different, right? Because they're
Yeah.
dragons. But the Pikachu EX, from what I've heard, this is one that's gotten a lot of attention out there, and I'm a bit skeptical
Wait, which
because
the attack or the ability?
the ability, both, I think. Obviously, you don't want it if you're not attacking with it. It's not very good,
Well, I'm
right?
thinking of it as like a stall, you like penny loop with this or something. But
Okay, well, you could do that. I'll you could do that. It is a control deck, right?
yeah, like a
Um,
stall loop thing. Yeah.
there are obviously control decks that play like a 3/4 penny deck, and you could put this in. It's not going to be for every matchup to win, but just if you had one copy of this in the deck, it gives you a win condition in some matchups. So maybe, um, I'm not so sure about that, but
Yeah, I don't know if that's really something that works, but that's what I was thinking of. And then the attack, like, did you say the attack cost? It's grass, lightning, metal, which is like,
I think that's the big problem. Like if the attack cost was payable, it would be a great Pokemon, right?
yeah, it is like
Um,
kind of payable. It's not like that payable.
Fortunately, we do have electric generators, so we can get the lightning on, and then I guess when I'm playing the Teal Mask Ogerpon, I get the grass, and I have to play 4 energy switch as well. Or I could play Arcaludon and energy switch with that, but I think I wanted the Teal Mask Ogerpon
Yeah,
for
and then
that.
you could just like you could just electric generator and then attach the tool and then also attach return the
And we have Crispin, the
yeah,
tool and Crispin
Crispin.
and generator maybe makes it
Yeah, that
happen
might be enough. I'm
enough.
not sure though. That seems like kind of sketchy. I think Pikachu EX it could also just be a wall. Like if you're playing Miraidon EX, well, no, this 100% goes into Miraidon EX as well. Presumably, if you're playing Area Zero Underdepths, because right now they play Mewtwo EX, which actually does nothing. It has 230 HP, but you can attack with it, and it has two retreat as well. If you are playing Latias EX, the two retreat versus one retreat doesn't matter. But if you aren't, and if it's not in play, then it is nice to have one retreat. So this would 100%, I'm assuming, go in Miraidon EX as like this wall that could like have value at like times and is a Terra
Right.
Pokemon.
I think it might. Well, yeah, because this is better than the Mew, right?
Yeah, the
You
Mewtwo.
probably can't attack with it. Yeah, the Mewtwo EX, but but because it's not getting one shot. The question is there any way that this could become the top big basic beatdown stick? Could this displace Raging Bolt? Because if you could consistently do
I
300,
don't think so. I mean, like also there's a few issues. One, it's like hard to power up, right?
it's a lot
Um,
harder to power
and
up. Yes,
then I
that's
mean,
the big
original is not like
downside.
super easy to power up because you need, especially if you need like 5 energies, but it is like doable. But then
Right.
Pikachu EX, it can't one shot everything, right? Like I mean, it kind of can with some damage buffs, but like you could do Zapdos or something, but
Mhm.
it's not one shotting like Charizard EX is really, so that's not ideal either.
No, and you discard your energy, so you're going to want to get it out of play. Your opponent hits into you, you're down to 10. If it becomes a big card, then we're going to have to play the cards that poison, right? Because that will
Um,
finish you off
yeah, I
after
mean
your
there
turn.
are definitely ways to get through. You said Dust Storm, but there are some other Pokemon like that. If you're able to just ping 10, that's enough. So yeah.
You need to ping the active, right? So the one that like pings the bench, you'd have to move, or you have the psychic Pokemon I'm blanking on with the darkness energy that moves
Yeah,
damage
yeah,
counters, right?
Munkidori. Yeah, that's definitely
So
one that could be good. Depends on your situation.
yeah, and Frostlass takes you out too because you have an ability. So it puts the damage on. So then your HP is very low. So that it's difficult, right? So we're kind of I think on the same page with Pikachu.
Yeah. Then we have what are we
You want
talking
to do
about
black?
next? I do want to talk about Black Hero EX, which I have as my last card in tier A, um,
Yeah,
along with other stuff, and you have it as the second worst card
yeah.
below.
I don't see it as being playable.
So why
I gotta
don't like
say.
how is it not playable?
All right,
Payable.
so let me read the card
Mhm.
first. So it's 230 HP basic. That's fine. It's got the attack Ice Age for 3 colorless, does 90. and if your opponent's active Pokemon's a dragon, it's paralyzed, which is good. So if you're worried about dragon decks, it's good. So you might slap it into your Chien-Pao deck, one copy, and
or
that's
whatever.
okay.
There are lots of ways. Like 3 colors is definitely
You have to
payable.
power it up in one
It's not
turn, though.
super easy, but it's payable. A lot of decks.
So that's okay. But if it's not a dragon deck, I'm doing 90 on a three-prize
Well,
on a
yeah,
two-prize
yeah.
Pokemon for 3 energy. That's terrible,
No,
right?
yeah. That's bad. That's bad. Yeah.
So it's only so maybe the next attack is what's good. But I think this attack is terrible. Black Frost for 4 energy. Water, colors does 250 and it does 30 to itself. So it takes it down to that 200 number, which I don't really want to be at. So, and it's 4 energy for 250. I'd rather just have Chien-Pao in my Baxcalibur deck because that's just better than Kyurem by like 10 times. That's my thought when I look at it. Chien-Pao is way better.
No, yeah. You're
That's
using it for the
my
first
thought.
attack. The first attack is very good against dragon decks, right? It's not like an auto win, but it's very good, right?
Yeah, but
And
most
dragon decks are like 30% in the metagame or something. Maybe they're not 30%. They're like, I mean, I feel like they're 30% in the metagame. Dragapult,
I think
Regidrago, and Raging Bolt are 3 of the top 5. I think 3 of the top 4. I'd put. I don't think Trapgirls is a top 4 deck. I think it's like the 5th deck. So I'd say like Dragon's definitely the best type in the game right now. Like
it's
Terapagos
might become the best top deck in the game, and Charizard's still super popular.
I
right?
don't see Trapagos almost ever. I do see Charizard.
No, I mean I've heard a lot of talk, and there's a regional going on now, and I'm not sure what's happening with that at all. I haven't paid attention.
Complete chaos. No, I don't know.
But there's a lot of hype. I've heard a lot of people saying Terapagos is going to become the deck.
But people like to say that new cards are going to be great, which I could never say that. But Black Kyurem is going to be great. Black Kyurem is going to be absolutely insane.
So look, you can counter dragon Pokemon. I grant you that. So if you're so worried about, but you also have to power it up in one turn.
Yeah,
but
there are decks that can like Charizard can do. I don't know. Maybe it's not as easy as I think it is.
Okay, you can slot it in Charizard.
Yep. You can put it in Regidrago. You can put it. I guess it's not like super easy to power up.
But the question is,
yeah. Well, yeah, no, you can definitely power it up in Lugia. That's the easiest of those decks we said to power it up in, right?
Well, sure, I'm powering up my Hydreigon with Lugia as well, and I'm powering up my the Cellar Ledge and all that stuff in that deck, right?
No, well, you can power up Black Kyurem EX very easily in Lugia because it's 3 colors.
You could, and it's a basic. But now you said Charizard. What'd you say?
Is free. Oh no.
No, you can power it up. So but the decks you said could power it up are pretty good decks anyway. Do they need it? Those decks, right?
I think if it's swinging like a third of your matchups from like. Maybe like a quarter. I'll say a quarter of your matchups, which I think is fair. From like, I'm trying to get a better idea of how much the meta. Yeah, it's like a quarter to a third. Like that much of your matchups from like mediocre to like difficult, because these are some of the best decks in the game. To like pretty good, is really nice. Like it's a good tech card. It's not like a perfect tech card, but it's a good tech card against a good few decks. It's
yeah. I mean, the question is how strong is it going to be? If it's like takes like Charizard that struggles against Dragapult, I believe it does, and makes it into a favored matchup, that's good. But if they're playing Dragapult with Pidgeot, they're going to get out of it and just going to wipe you out then. So it's
how are they going to get, like right now with what they're playing? I don't play that much Dragapult, but I certainly play against it. And they play like a tourist scenario, but they just want, and that's the only switch card they play. Like, tourist scenario.
Well, then they'll put in one switch in or something in the deck. You know, if you have Pidgeot, you should have something that can solve the problem for you, right?
Maybe, but like right now they don't. So forcing your opponent to start playing counters to a card is generally a sign of a good card.
Yeah. So this is the big. All right. So this is the big counter for dragon decks, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, there will be one coming in next year, but we don't need to talk about that card. And it's not the same level of counters.
So look, because you're talking IRL decks with this discussion right just now, I think, right? Because when you look online,
I looked on Play Limitless.
Play Limitless, just Charizard Pidgeot's number 2. Terapagos is number 2.
3.
Number 3, sorry.
I said 3 of the top
Oh,
5.
you said those.
But then I
Okay.
said I think that Trap Ghost isn't a top 4 deck. I'd personally, in terms of, these are just in terms of plays, but which is what matters here. And then
Yeah.
also combining because Dragapult gets like there's some different Dragapult decks. So Dragapult is 10% of the meta, actually. I guess it's kind of hard to sort through, but it's like 10%. Regibolt's like 11, and then Regidraco is 5. So that's a quarter of the metagame. And then there are of course other dragon decks as well, though there aren't that many other dragon decks. I said that. I don't know what any of the other ones like Giratina or something that plays like switches, so it's not very useful. But
Right.
Black Hero EX certainly is probably is good against those decks. Um, it might not be like a super great card, but I think like I don't think all the A tier cards are necessarily going to end up being um super good cards within the meta, but I think it's on the same tier as these other ones.
I guess. I mean, like my Milotic EX, right? That's ability is stopping these dragon decks as well, right?
Well,
Because they're
well, no,
EXs,
stopping.
right?
No, it stops
Oh, they're
Terra, so it would
Terras.
stop only Dragapult.
Just Drago. Okay, not Regidrago.
Yeah,
Okay.
or Raging
Okay.
Bolt. Yeah.
Or Raging Bolt. That's true. Okay. So look, if yeah, I mean, if you're also scared of the dragon Pokemon, then play it.
Well,
I
you're
agree.
not scared of Dragapult, right? You're not scared of Dragapult. You love playing
Oh,
against
I'm
it with
not.
your all your decks, your good decks.
I don't know. Like it's so good in theory, and every time I play Dragapult, it is a train wreck
What
for
about when
me.
you play
When
against
I
Dragapult?
when I play against it, then my opponent sets up Dragapult
Exactly.
turn
See,
two,
if you
and,
had
and they
it, they
and they
set the
wipe me
Dragapult, then you're
out.
like, okay, I can just stop them for the rest of the game and win. And then,
But I have to be playing a deck that can power this up
yes.
in one turn, right? So it's only gonna there's certain decks it'll work for, right?
Yeah.
That's the question. And
That's true
you
for
know,
like
like
every card, right? Like I don't think Serial GX isn't going in every deck. Um,
no,
so I'm not talking about that.
but my Lodex EX's ability, you don't have to power it up for it's an ability, you don't have to power it up. This
Yeah,
you
no,
have to
that's true.
power it
That's
up in
true.
one
If there's
turn.
just
Yeah,
wall dragons, I think it would be better. Then it had like an attack that was good as well. But I think it's a solid card. I don't think it's
okay.
like
I
completely terrible. I think it's
all
an
right.
A B
Your
tier card.
arguments. Okay, I will move it up on my list at least above Latias. I will tell you.
Oh wow, how that's I can't believe you have
No,
Latias.
it's I know. I look. This is better than Latias. I will say, in my opinion.
I
But
yeah.
it's you know, I see some value in the card. That I'll give
Yeah.
you that.
Do you have any cards that are low on my list you wanna argue for?
Let's take a look. So,
So you've got Sylveon like at the same spot. You have Flygon low as well, but I mean I don't think Flygon's super good. We have Alolan Executor EX. This is a nice little like addition to Regidraco, right? I assume that's why it's there.
Little
It has
Executor.
its own
Well,
HP. It has some cool
it's
things going on with it.
hang on. Let me take a look at some of my notes here too, just because I had some other cards that had other things to go with them. Oh, Scovillain. It had what something about with Capsicid. I don't remember what that was. So
Wait, what are the Capsikids?
what's that?
What are the Capsikids? I don't know these. Um,
Now I got to look. Was that the
no, there's
one
nothing interesting with. Maybe
that
there's a
came
new
with it,
Capsikid.
or was there an old one?
I'm pretty sure
Maybe
it's
there's.
not. I'm pretty sure there's nothing with the Capsikids. I mean, there are other Scovillains. There's like a Capsikid that
Yeah,
accelerates in energy. They're pretty bad. I mean, they're pretty
what?
just like
Pretty
whatever.
bad.
The Capsikids, they're just like random
Yeah,
cards.
yeah. No, you're right. It's not that good. Well,
It's
yeah. I
okay.
mean, you play increasing spice. You search for you attach a
Yeah.
fire energy and hope you don't get knocked out. All right. So, um, anyway. So, but let me
Oh,
look
we
at my
talked about
list.
Hydreigon. I guess that would be the big one, which I'm still not sold on. I feel like it's like kind of a blur with the other somewhat mediocre stellar EXs like Palossand and Flygon to me. But I do understand Crashing Heads is a very scary attack. I definitely don't think it's better than Latias EX. I think that's um
Well, I don't think Latias. Honestly, I'm not sure I'm going to slot it in many decks. I will say, but
yeah,
maybe I
but you
could be
don't play
wrong.
that. I also don't really play that many big basic decks. But I think in big basic decks you'll put it in. Um, like you'd play this in Magnum Basic decks, right? Like Entei V is a Pokemon you need to switch, and you're not switching very easily. So it seems like it's perfect for that deck.
I do. Yeah. No. I mean, it could go in that deck. It could.
Yeah,
I'm
NTB
not
Gathering Fire
saying.
EX.
Um, yeah, I'm not completely sold on it though. So let's see here. So let me ask your thoughts about slacking for a minute.
Slacking EX, it's its ability. It can only attack if your opponent has EXs or Vs in play. The ability, for some reason, is some weird like double negative, which got us confused when we looked at it before. And it does
Right.
280 for 2 colorless. Discard energy from this Pokemon. Maybe I'm underrating it a little bit. Obviously, your opponent can play around. Like there are times where you just can't attack, and then you presumably lose the game, right? Like, um,
Well,
that's bad. I mean, maybe you can.
it's bad when you can't attack.
I
There
don't
is a
think it's a deck with like a good second option. Um,
well, you have to have the single prize slacking in the deck.
oh, there's a single price, but isn't that slacking also bad? I
Well,
don't
it does
really.
it,
This
it does
one,
240 at a single prize
oh, it does 240
Pokemon.
for 3, and then it's a sleep, and needs to double flip heads. Yeah, that seems like
Yeah,
not great.
but it's
Admittedly,
better than
if
my
you're,
it's better than my slacking EX that can't attack at all, though, right?
it is, but that's like, it's kind of interesting. It might have some value. I might be underrating it. It's like it's kind of whatever. Um, I
Yeah,
just like
and
a
it's a
lot of these
stage
cards
two.
between Flygon EX and Tatsugiri, like really that and like the bottom, they're kind of like whatever. You had Scovillain like a bit higher. I think Scovillain is fun. Um, Obviously this is like the order that I think they're in, but Slacking EX is like kind of okay.
Yeah,
It has high HP. It has like good stats. We've seen a lot of Slacking is kind of like this before. It's
right.
certainly like a somewhat common theme, and generally, I don't know, this is the best one we've seen. I mean, Slacking View is okay. You could turn off its ability as well. You can't turn off the ability on
Right. It's
Slacking.
more of an expanded format card, right? Where you have Path to the Peak, I would
Slacking
think.
EX,
Yes.
I guess. But then consistently your ability will not be like your opponent won't have EX and Vs in play as well. Like in standard, a lot of the time you'll be able to
Right.
attack with this. Like pretty much against all the best decks in the game, you can attack with it. Then you have to kind of like understand that there are times when you can't, and your opponent can essentially always like say, "Oh, I'm just not going to play any,"
Right.
and now what? Now you need to do something, and they can do something presumably. Like if they just attack with their Charmeleons over and over, you'll just lose eventually. Um, Maybe Raging Bull Ogerpon can't really do that. Like, what do they play? Yeah, if they only have Radiant Greninja in play, things aren't going to go super well for them. I feel like there's the Sandy Shocks, which is like a very mediocre Pokemon, or it's a very bad Pokemon on its own. But will eventually knock out the Slacking EX within 3 turns, and you're not doing anything. Right? So like, the ability is obviously bad.
Yes.
It's not like completely terrible though. It's not like obviously it's like one of the worst abilities in the game because it just actively hurts you. But um, it's not going to completely cripple it, and its stats are pretty good. In terms of paying it, it's with Double Turbo. Double Turbo will be rotating. Um, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, there are like some decks that are really bad. I feel like it's a deck you're gonna play, and all of a sudden you're gonna hit your like completely terrible matchups and just like lose all your games or something. But maybe
R-
I'm just being paranoid with that.
Yeah, no, it's not very good. I just wanted to know your thoughts on it. 280 HP for a single
Yeah, or
attachment
damage.
or
Yeah,
260 with double turbos. That's pretty good.
it's
340
good. Yeah.
HP it has is very good. The retreat cost is 4, and if obviously it gets stuck there, it gusts it up, and they don't put down a V or EX to help you out, you're just crying. So let's talk Scovillain for a minute.
Yes, Scovillain. Should I talk about it, or do you want to talk about it?
You want to talk about it?
Sure. Yeah, I think
Or
Scovillain's kind of fun. I really like the ability. This is one of my I mean, I think obviously I like the types in the Pokemon TCG, and so I think that Double Type is a cool ability. We've seen this or things
Yeah.
very similar to this before. We've seen it does like a mechanic, which is kind of interesting but kind of weird. But as long as it's in play, it is Grass and Fire type. This is kind of weird because there's a Scovillain that's Grass, that's also Grass and Fire, but whatever. And its attack Fire Fire. It does 10, 70 more for each damage counter on this. This really does need Magma Basin, right? Like without Magma Basin, I feel like it's completely terrible. Um,
Well, I
I
had
don't
another
know.
thought, but
Hmm.
I think you're right. It wants Magma Basin, and then I probably don't play Radiant Heatran, which is one of my go-to in Magma Basin decks, although it might. But you could also this could become the new the V Star Hisui and Zoroark, right? Because this you get the right. Maybe we play it with the Stadium, and we play the Gengars, the damage pump and stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Well, yeah, those will
And
also be rotating
with
Magma
Magma
Basin.
Basin.
Like
But
all that stuff's
that's
rotating, which is
right.
definitely like a big issue for this deck. I don't know exactly how you get damage counters on other ways. Um, I'm thinking, and I
But
can't
my
think right
point is, you don't have to have. Obviously, with Magma Basin, you can power it up in one turn. You're getting what 20 damage on it, so you're doing
now. 50,
150.
which isn't that
That
much.
no, and that's not enough. Which is why at this point, like Gengar damage pump, though, being able to it's a stage one, which I think is not too bad to get set up. You can power it up in one turn, but you've got to get what you need to get 4 damage counters on it quickly.
Yeah, which is like kind of doable. That's funny. I like it because it can do like 1,000 damage, which I think is funny.
Right.
Um,
I could play it with Frost last post rotation, right? There we go. I solved
yeah,
it.
that's true. That actually is like kind of playable. You would like the basic two have an ability, which it doesn't, but whatever.
Yeah, I don't know if any Capsicid does
Yeah,
have an
I don't
ability.
believe any do. But you also what's the new one do? Yeah, no, that doesn't. So I think there was
No.
one that damages itself with its attack, but that's probably gonna die. Anyways, but you can do 1,760 damage with this, so that's kind of fun. I think it's
Okay, you
just
did
two.
the math.
I did, yeah. I pulled out my phone and
Well,
calculated.
and that's without playing Heroes Cave, right?
That's true. That's true. You can
So
do a lot of damage.
now you got your video, right? Now that's the video.
Yeah.
Heroes Cape with that 350 damage on it.
Yeah.
Let's go. So look, it's has the scalability to get to huge damage. Pre-rotation, there's ways to do it. Post-rotation doesn't look good right now, but we still have, 5-6 months before rotation, and then we'll see what
Maybe,
comes out
yeah.
down the road.
Oh yeah, it's definitely an interesting looking card. I want to talk about Flygon EX. You have that like noticeably lower than I have it.
Okay.
So it's attack storm retreat for when fighting does 130, and then you switch it. You don't have to, but you probably want to switch it with one of your bench Pokemon. And then you also with Sonic Peridot does 100 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon EX and Pokemon V for water fighting metal. So certainly not a particularly easy to pay attack cost here, but
Right.
that is true of pretty much every stellar attack. But it is strong. Like if you attack with this a few times, you're in a very good position. Very much like Hydreigon EX's attack. I feel like that's pretty
Well, so let me talk about the Palisand for a second with it, because it's
Yeah.
got its second attack that's kind of it's similar in a way, but different. Actually, obviously, if you pair the two in a deck in two attacks, you win the game, right?
Yeah. Unless,
So
well, I don't know. So there's one big issue with Flygon EX. Well, there's two. One,
yeah,
if your opponent, again, if they don't have EX in play, or Vs, it's not really doing anything. But if all their
right.
EXs are Terra EXs, then you're not doing anything to them on the bench. So
Oh, that's
that
true. I
is
hadn't
a
thought
big
about
issue.
that.
It's also an issue with Hydreigon EX and yeah, not with Palisand EX though, but it is an issue with Flygon and Hydreigon, which is especially Flygon EX. It's like a big annoyance there.
Right. There's not an ability, you can't shut that off. It's a Terra, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The Terra Magic, we'll call it. So, but the Palisand has its attack, which is a stage 1, and it's water psychic fighting, and then you put damage counters on each of your opponent's bench Pokemon until it's 100 HP. So if you do the Palisand, and you're right, if they're not Terra Pokemon and they didn't evolve them, of course, so that the HPs increase, you just wipe out all of the bench Pokemon when you do 100 damage the following turn. But it's not obviously realistic to pair those.
The attacks are mostly similar. The ones water psychic fighting, the ones water fighting metal. So those are mostly similar, and you could try to do something there, but
we need 4 different types of energy.
Well,
yes.
I mean, it's it's just like your Dragon. Yes, get 4 energy. It's only 3 different types there, but
yeah. Look, I just think that here's the downside to it. The first attack isn't that strong, right? 130, and you switch to the bench.
But it is a very good hit and run attack. Like hit and run generally
it
hitting.
is.
Well, I don't know what's good with hit and run. There's like some weird stuff. There's like
Hit and run's
Poliwrath. But like there's some good walls. I mean, Iron Thorns EX is really good.
Yes.
Sonic isn't really like a wall. It's more of a. It's like more of a like
right.
Like,
you have your Mimikyu. You got the Milotic EX here.
Yeah, you have Klefki. You have the Fighting Ogerpon. You have Pikachu EX. You have
yes,
Mismagius. So like there are things you can do that can really annoy your opponent. And you have a strong hit and run attack. And then if you send up a basic, you can use Latias EX, unless that basic's Iron Thorns EX, and then that wouldn't work. But yeah.
Yeah, look, I think I'm not sure that the hit and run is generally all that strong, right? I mean, I think we both tried, find it appealing, hasn't been that. So I don't think it's great if it's the storm back attack for
I don't know.
130.
I think it's a pretty good hit and run attack. Like hit and run theoretically is good. Like generally hit and run attacks are really weak. Like they're hitting like 30 or like 60 or like just not very
Yeah,
much. But
it is bigger damage, which is good. It's a stage 2 hit and run though, so that
yes.
has me very concerned. I will say,
Hmm.
hit and runs usually you need to get them set up quickly because you're kind of you're messing around with your opponent a lot. Is
I
what I'll
don't know. I
say.
mean, I guess you need to like the games go on a lot of turns though. If things are going your way, and if it's not going a lot on a lot of turns, you're just probably losing. So I think this has like value. You could Frostlass. You could. Oh, I don't know. Frostlass with the walls is not going to end well for you probably, but you could just I don't know. Don't Frostlass Pikachu EX. That is definitely not the play. But you could. I don't know.
Well,
I'm
look,
sure there are things to do.
okay, so if you think the first attack has some value, I can I can see I can say okay. It is only an attack cost of 1, so that makes it okay. I'm just not hit and run. Generally, has been underwhelming to me. I don't think the second attack's very good though. I will say that.
I think yeah, I think
Um,
theoretically it's good, but it's not good with all the Terras that are floating around. Um,
right.
like doing
Well,
0 damage to Charizard EX, Dragapult EX, and Ogre EX is not great.
yeah, but honestly, and I hadn't even thought of that. I still don't think it's good because here's the thing: you're putting a bunch, you're doing potential, assuming they have a board full of V's and EXs. You're doing, or it just hits the bench, right? Or is it all of them? It's all of them. So
Yeah,
you're
it's all
doing
of
like 1,000 damage in that turn, let's say, right?
them.
I played against
A
Insect Span. I'm against
thousand.
Mew. I'm against this Mew VMAX. How much I'm doing?
Well, you're
Just
doing
massive
600,
damage.
yeah, or
Um,
500, whatever. Yeah,
well, I'm hitting like 3 Mew VMAXs, right? Oh, and which go down to 100.
no,
So
that's
those are two.
Palisand EX. That's Palisand EX.
Oh, sorry, Palisand. So, you're right.
Palisand EX would be
So,
doing 1,000 damage. Flygon actually be doing like 300 or 400
yeah.
damage.
So I'm hitting Palisand. So Flygon's the one you think is better. So it does 100 to each. But you got to do it 2 more times to take the knockouts, right? So
Yeah.
that's a problem. I think that's just too slow.
Yeah, no, I think the attack's like pretty mediocre to underwhelming. I would say Palisand EX's attack is better. There, you can't attack with it multiple times to get any value. The second time it won't do anything,
Right.
but the first time it is really strong. And then
Okay, but
yeah,
but Flygon, the first attack, the hit and run, once maybe has value. I'm not sold on it, but it's not like crazy high for you either. So, but you definitely see it as more potential than I do.
yeah, a little bit. I don't know if I'll necessarily be looking to play it, but I think it's okay. I think Lone Executor EX is kind of good. Like it does have 300 HP, which is kind of nice. Its attacks are kind of weird.
Yes.
There's a few things to talk about. So it's a dragon, and its first attack for Grass Water is 150, and you choose any number of basic energy cards from your hand and attach them to your Pokemon any way you want. This is theoretically really good. The one big downside, or I don't know if this is a downside, but Dragonite is kind of similar and would have a similar role in Regidrago, and that doesn't really see much play, which the purpose there is going to be setting up your next bench Pokemon or your next Regidrago. But then you do have Swinging Sphere, which for grass, water, fighting, but then keep in mind you're copying it, so the attack cost doesn't matter. You flip coin if heads knock out your opponent's active basic Pokemon, if tails knock out one of your opponent's bench basics. The big issue is they do need a basic in the active, so you need to gust up like some two-prize basic, and they also need a two-prize basic on the bench. A lot of board states do have this, but at that point, is this really worth going for? Probably not. But it is like a funny attack. There are times when you don't have to gust up, and then you have the potential to do a snipe attack, and the down like the bad flip of heads. Yeah, heads is bad here. Then it's still okay. Like your heads would be what you're doing normally, and then tails would be a nice snipe attack. So I think it has some value, but it's kind of niche, but kind of fun.
This one, the basics very important. That's coming out in the set
It is.
with it
I don't think it's that good. I like
with the Precious Evolution or Precocious Evolution. If you
yeah.
go first, you can use the attack and you evolve it. So you go first, you attach energy, you evolve,
That's
right?
okay. I mean that like has value certainly, but I don't think it's
So
anything absolutely insane.
so you're thinking. Here's the question. So a lonely executive, the first attack's very interesting, right?
Yeah, but we've seen
Um,
attacks like this before, and they haven't really seen play.
Right. So,
Like I bet
but
most people watching this like don't know that there have been attacks like this like all the time. Not necessarily all the time, but I don't exactly know what there are, but I think there are some in standard. Um,
but you potentially, if you go first, you can use that attack going second, right? Because you have the execute, you attach, you evolve turn one. Now you're 300 HP. You're pretty safe against getting knocked out,
yeah,
even
like
against
Morning Moon
Raging
EX,
Bolt.
Raging Bolt EX. Never know
They're
what's
probably
happening.
not knocking you out though,
No,
most
but
likely, right? So that's good.
mhm.
And then I can power up some shenanigans on turn two. That's might be how I see it. You know, I'm not sure what I'm powering up, but I could do silliness with it. Or the second attack, it's an interesting one, right? Obviously you have to have a board state when it heads or tails is okay for you,
Yeah.
um, and that's not that's up a lot of the time. I would say, right?
But wait,
Um,
what?
a lot of the time, knocking out an active or one
No,
of
an
the you
active
get.
basic.
Oh, it's only a basic.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
which is a
So
big
yeah.
downside. Um,
So, but yeah. So you have to. So, but if as long as you can gust up a basic to the active, then and there's a basic on the bench, you can do it, right? You have a
yes, but at that
guaranteed
point, like
knockout.
I'd rather just knock out the Pokemon that I guessed it up, right?
I no, I agree. So I don't think the second attack's that good. The first attack is the one that kind of makes it fun. I will say,
Hmm.
which I know fun is it's probably not going to be overly effective, right?
Yeah. Speaking of fun, anyone talk about Tatsugiri X? We've
Okay.
not we haven't gone on that long. And this one has its attack that says the first attack's like okay, but it's probably the better attack. But the second attack for Fire, Water, Darkness, look at the top 10 cards of your deck, choose any number of Pokemon you find there and put them onto your bench, shuffle the other cards into your deck. This is the third worst card for me, but it is fun. You have it a bit
It's
higher. Is it for the same
Yeah, where did I put it? Yeah, I had it just slightly below middle, but again, honestly
right
the bottom
above
half.
like literally like 6 spots above Latias EX and Black Hero EX?
I don't think most of the bottom ones are very good. I
I
think
know,
probably
that's
half.
why you put them at the
Well,
bottom.
with any set like this, probably half the EXs just aren't very good, right? I think
Yeah.
that we probably
But
would
I
agree
think
about that in
Tatsugiri
general.
EX, why do you like it for the second attack?
Yeah, I mean the first attack is fine, but it's not that good, right? And
Yeah.
it hits through effects, which can be important, obviously, but
Yeah.
I don't think you're sliding it in something. The question is, what do you do with this, right? Attack. Look at the top cards of your deck. Put Pokemon onto your bench directly. So evolution Pokemon and such is it's always super intriguing, right? So you can do some crazy stuff potentially.
You can. It is
I-
somewhat random or entirely random if you're not setting up at all. And then it's also really hard
right.
to pay, and it's a basic Pokemon, which is like nice,
Yes.
but it's 160 HP two prizer, which is bad. Squawkabilly
Yeah.
EX has low HP. That's definitely a bit of a problem. And it's really good. It's like one of the best Pokemon in the game, but its HP definitely is what like one of the things that balances it out.
Yeah. No, it's a silly attack. But you got to get the energy on it. It's not easy to do. Um yeah. I mean the deck that could put it in, I guess, and pay it would be Dragapult, but I mean Regidrago. But I
Oh,
don't
by
think
copying it, yeah.
it could copy the attack, but then it doesn't really want to be putting cards on the bench,
Yeah, it
right? It
seems
wants to
I don't really know.
attack,
I mean, like the idea obviously is evolution, so you could put like
right?
oh, you could play a 004 Pidgeot EX line in your Regidrago V-Star deck.
Or, okay,
Yeah,
sure that now you've cracked it, and
I've
we
got
can't
it.
get Palafin EX into play, right? Because its ability still
No. I mean,
stops
that's
this from
definitely
working, right?
harder than using Tatsugiri is definitely harder than just getting Palafin EX into play. It's not like that hard to get into play.
But
It's not
I
easy,
could
but
get
it's
all
not.
four Palafin EX into play with this one
Yeah,
attack, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, you
So
can, but yeah, it's
it's very silly. And even if the energy cost was reasonable, I'm not so sure it would be good anyway. But there's the idea just of some silliness with it. Is what I'd say.
yeah. One last card I do want to talk about that does have some potential is Cyclizar EX here. Its attack, the second attack is really bad, in my opinion. I mean, it's expensive, hard to pay, and has mediocre upside. But you have the first attack. It is a stellar Pokemon. It is colorless. For 3 colorless, it does 130 and 30 points bench Pokemon. This is a mediocre but usable attack. And if you're looking for just some random Terra to play for Area Zero Underdepths and Knockdown and whatever, it could be the one to put into decks. Its attack is worse than Trapgos, but it does have. Wait. What's Trapagos' retreat? It's 2 retreat, right?
I think it is.
Yeah, it's 2 retreats. So this has 1 retreat. If it had free retreat, this would be a really good card in my opinion, and I wish it did. Not as like a super broken card, but a card that you'd be putting into various decks. Right now, there's only 1 free retreat Terra Pokemon, I believe. Let me just look at these. Oh yeah, no, none of them have free retreat. So there's only 1, and that is no, sorry, there's 2. They are both stage 2, so it's Cinderace EX and Garchomp EX. So yeah, Cyclizar EX though could see play. I don't know.
Well, well,
It's looking.
first, well, first, I don't know why you're worried about retreat costs because every deck's playing Latias
I know.
EX.
No, if you're
Latias,
playing
so
Latias
retreat
EX, then it
cost
doesn't
is.
matter. But
So here's where I see it some value. I've ranked it a little higher than you. I think 130 for 3 is obviously super underwhelming, right? And does
yes,
30 to 1 bench. That's so the question is the second attack. And
which does
here,
180 for
which is
Grass, Fire, Psychic, which is not good. You do draw 5. You can draw 5. You don't have to draw 5. Um,
right. So you don't have to deck yourself. But if it was payable easily, 180 draw five's not bad. It's an option that you
I
consider
mean,
in
it
some
would be
decks,
solid.
right?
It's kind of like Blissey EX, but that's 3 colorless instead of this.
But don't forget in Blissey EX Migo, don't forget there's Glass Trumpet, which this is
That's
colorless,
true. Yeah.
so we can accelerate all our energies in 1 turn. We can power up 2 Cyclozars in 1 turn with 3 glass trumpets as long as we get the right 6 energies in the discard pile,
Yeah.
and then switch to the active. If you played Blissey EX, you can also use that and move it forward as well.
That's true.
So there's ways, and Crispin helps get an energy attached
Yeah,
as
no, there are
well.
ways to
So
pay it. I think it's like the upside, like drawing 5 is nice, but it's around the same value as like having a Pidgeot EX in play, I feel like. Which isn't like super hard to do. And then the attack isn't particularly good. It's like in terms of damage, it's very
right.
mediocre to underwhelming. You
Well,
have
you're
low, mid, like moderate HP, things like that.
you're two-shotting everything, which a lot of Pokemon are. You can win games by two-shotting Pokemon, right? There's a lot of decks that do that, so
Yeah,
that's
no, that's what most of the
okay,
Pokemon on this list do. Um,
right?
but
But
most
it's
don't
at
take.
210 it's 210 HP, so you're getting 1 shot, and therefore you're going to lose the race probably.
Yeah, probably.
And then the other problem is the game goes on. Drawing 5 cards is nice, but then after you've taken your opponent's going to Iono you, and then you're going to cry, right? As well, we've all been there with things like that too.
Yeah.
So you could do it. I think it's payable. I'm not as worried about the paying as you, just because the tools right now, but I don't think there's enough upside to make it all that good.
Yeah. Oh, the one card I do want to talk about that I have not talked about yet is Durant EX with its
Yeah,
ability on.
I was wondering why you hadn't brought that up
Yeah.
yet.
Okay.
So
Well, I don't think it's that good. But its ability on play, you get to mill a card, right? So, do you want to talk about
yes,
the attack? I don't really want to talk about the attack at all. Um, so let's not. So, the ability on
no,
play, you mill a card from the top card of your
right.
opponent's deck. What I was thinking, which you cannot do, is that because of course you pair this with Air Zero Underdepths. So, right.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's not a Terra, but I was thinking I was thinking Lunatone could turn off Area Zero Underdepths, but that's not how that card works. It stops effects
Okay.
on like your Pokemon, but that would be an effect on you. So unfortunately, that doesn't work. You cannot
Okay.
like do this weird loop, but you can play Area Zero Underdepths, and then you play down a bunch of Durant EXs. And then you bump the stadium and discard the Durant EXs, and then recover them. And
Mhm.
then you like get the stadium back in play, and you play them down again. So unfortunately, if the Lunatone worked with Durant EX, you would be able to play like 6 Durant EX in 1 turn, but that doesn't work. So instead, what you want to do is to I'm trying to think if there's a way to expand and shrink your bench, like actually that actually is like a thing. I guess you could. Um, I'm
I
trying to.
mean,
What are the terras? There aren't any that like return to your hand, at least not with an ability. But you could scoop up, like you could penny up your Trapagos EX, and then you discard your
right.
Durants, and then you play back down the Trapagos EX, and then you can. Wait, no, then you wouldn't be able to play down the Trapagos EX because you wouldn't have any. bench space for it because um
Yeah.
yeah,
I
so I don't know, there's got to be something there though where you can shrink and expand your bench to play your Durant EX again, and then they cover them. You play Miriam, which recovers 5 bench Pokemon. Then you just play all your Durant EXs again. So yeah, I think this might be the mill deck I want to go with.
This is
Um,
the mill deck. Well, I see. This is this
I did
this
admit this
solves.
is worse than Hydreigon EX, but just a
Okay.
little. It's one card lower than
One
Hydreigon.
below. Okay,
Yeah,
I think Hydreigon's a lot better, but and I think you
I
would
know.
too. This is the card though that solves the problem. You're complaining about Hydreigon that only mills 3. Then you play your milling 4, and now you're all over the Hydreigon
I
deck.
know.
Once you might put like 2 copies of Durant in your Hydreigon deck. You're not going to play Hydreigon, but I am.
Yeah,
Right?
and I'm
I'll
gonna play
try it
Durant.
out.
You'll play Hydreigon EX. I'll play Durant EX. You'll see who wins. It's gonna be me. No, it's not. But
Yeah.
no, then I'll just
Uh,
like start one-shotting your Hydreigon EXs with my Durant EXs, and then you'll lose.
I think the Durant is the reason they knew this was coming. This was the reason they banned Scoop Up Net
That's
from
true.
expanded,
I
right?
know.
Because if you could scoop this up with Scoop Up Net, think of that. You could mill
You can mill 8 cards.
8 cards over the course of a game,
Over the course of the game,
and that
exactly.
that will not win you many games. But
But it's broken. It's so broken.
well, I guess the question is if you're playing like a control deck. Or if you're up against somebody who's trying to loop their deck, or if control becomes a big thing and they're Pidgeot V looping their deck, then this wins you the game,
Yeah. Well,
right?
not
So
necessarily. If they could like Pidgeot V loop multiple cards, but yeah.
as long as but if they're down to that single card loop, right? That's like the golden thing for looping decks, right? You get
Yeah.
it down to one card and you're all set. This gives you the win condition. I don't really think that's going to be enough of a situation to actually make the card
Broken card.
useful.
Staple. Doesn't work on Nest Ball. That's fine. You can Nest Ball Penny and then play it to actually get the value.
So, I don't, if you're playing a mill deck, you might slap a couple copies in though. That could help, right? I mean, because mill decks, a lot of times you get close to winning with mill decks, right?
Mhm.
So you might slap a copy or 2 in. Look, I was working on a Durant expanded deck, and there's the stage 1 that on play. I think mills 2. What Alolan? It's a darkness Pokemon, something. Alola Muck, Mills 2,
Oh,
and
wait.
I just
What?
didn't think that was worthwhile. I think it's an
I don't think
expanded.
that's. I don't think we're thinking of the same card. Maybe we are,
I think
but
it, I think
this
it was
the
a
only
Muck.
no. It mills. You look at the top 6 and discard any items you find there.
Oh yeah, which is actually much better than this, right? Because you get rid of you get to pick 2 items out of the 6. You're right,
No,
but
no.
you're in
You
a
can
sense
do any. You can do all the items.
all the items. So that's better,
Which I guess
right,
has
than
consistently been
this.
2 for you because you think it mills, mills 2. But no, it can mill as many as you want. It can mill,
You can get rid
500
of
of
all
the
6.
6 items.
So anyway, but I didn't think that had enough value looking at expanded to play. And that's a much better card than this,
I
right?
guess, but it's not
So
a base that you can't play it
it's
10
a
times in
stage
one
1.
turn. So,
Correct.
um,
It's a stage 1.
I'm trying to think if there's an expanded way to like break this. Like there are ways to expand and shrink your bench, but well, I don't know. Like there's
Right.
Eternatus, um,
But
but
have they gotten banned the card so it doesn't work there? Well,
well, no, Eternatus
because like
it needs to be a Darkness Pokemon, so this wouldn't work.
the donk is the donk deck still in
In
playable?
live or an expanded.
Well,
Like it's
or an
not. They
expanded,
banned
full
the Dust
expanded.
Ball.
Okay. Well, no, the donk deck where you wasn't there a donk deck that you kept
Oh,
expanding and contracting your bench
no, that
and
wasn't
then
a
placing
donk.
damage counters? Oh no, that was the one you placed damage on yourself, right? And then you did
Um,
something. I
no,
forget.
that one
There's some.
also didn't. I think there was one where you like play. No, you'd play a tool. No, you'd play a Pokemon and then you'd turn the Pokemon into a tool and then you'd return it to your hand. That was how that worked. But
Okay.
that was because the ability on the Pokemon, and then some other ability on a different Pokemon.
Okay.
Um,
So that wouldn't. But did that expand the bench or no?
no, that didn't expand the bench.
Okay.
I don't know what you're thinking of. I mean,
I thought there
theoretically,
was
with
some.
that deck, you'd expand it. The way you'd expand and shrink your bench was Eternus VMAX. And then you get all your
Okay.
energies on with like Darkrai GX. You'd like take him out. Um, yeah.
So I guess can you do that with Durant then and expanded, right?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Like, there's I'm trying to like so you obviously have Durant EX. you probably use there's Area Zero Under Depths, and there's also Skyfield, which are similar.
Right.
There's also like Collapse Stadium. What I'm thinking is you have
Yes.
you keep like switching between Collapse Stadium and Area Zero Under Depths every turn, and then you like discard 4 Durants. The next turn you play 4 Durants, and then you discard 4 Durants, and then you have some like wall. So hopefully you're buying
R-
like a bunch of turns, but you're just milling some.
Yeah. In which case, and if you built the wall that's stopping your opponent from doing what they need to do, you probably don't need the Durants, right?
That is true, but it's funny. It's funny. Maybe they're just like
Y-
doing very little damage, or maybe this is like the behind the Pikachu EX penny loop. You're also Durant EX looping. Um, yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, look, you could play
Oh yeah, no,
Snorlax
that's how
because
it works. So
you
you
told me.
Pikachu EX, and then you like scoop up the Pikachu EX, and then you bench Sphinx. Yeah, yeah. You figured it
Oh,
out.
right. With the Air Zero Underdepths, you get rid of the Lightning Pokemon.
Yeah. Are there Pokemon you can just return to your hand and play down? I don't think so. I don't know. There's got to be something here, though. Right? 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 This card seems so good.
Well, look, you could build you build your yeah, I mean you build your wall deck, your Snorlax deck, and you've got your Milotic and you got all these different wall pieces, and then you're penning up a Durant every turn. So you're milling one every turn along the
Yeah.
way. So that speeds up the game by the game it only takes 30 minutes instead of 45 minutes. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Um,
Yeah, it's interesting, but we haven't cracked it. If you have an idea of how to make it work, let us
Yeah,
know
you
in the
could like Lost
comments.
Vacuum. Someone said Chimpow, which is like kind of the same thing. Though I think Lost Vacuum would be better. And then yeah. Anyway,
Hmm.
Bergen cards. We hope you enjoyed the podcast. We definitely didn't ramble on too much or anything like that. And these cards are going to be so hype, I think. I'm excited. Like, we both agree that there are some really good Pokemon here. We kind of agree on a lot of the top Pokemon. We don't agree on all the top Pokemon. We definitely disagree on
No.
quite a few. But we hope you enjoyed the podcast and start liking and subscribing. Tell us down below if you're watching this on YouTube which Pokemon you think we got wrong, which ones we got right, and which ones you're excited to play. But we hope you enjoyed, and we're excited to see you in the next episode.
All right, take care.